Hi, so I'm Ola Hungerford, and this is my colleague from Nordstrom, Sandeep. You might also have seen me around the MCP contributor Discord, GitHub, a few other places. But today we're going to talk about what we do at Nordstrom on the AI enablement team. So our talk isn't really about MCP. It's more, I don't even know if we say like agent or agentic in our presentation. But it's more about kind of the organizational and architectural discipline and the platform teams that we work with at Nordstrom. So kind of the three things I want to share today is that the first thing is we didn't start from scratch with integrating MCP. It really landed on foundations that already existed. The second thing is that we really encourage people to start simple and start with what they're already experimenting with. So I think for a lot of people that want to build agents, they want to do a lot of things, and they start very complex. Sometimes they start with a lot of kind of ideas. And what we really want is to narrow down on what they're trying to accomplish and make sure that they find all the right ingredients to make that happen. And the third thing that I really want to emphasize is that a lot of kind of the more boring work, the more kind of fundamentals are really what is most important for us to make this all happen. So like I mentioned, when MCP showed up, really we had a lot of foundations. We had engineering standards, sample applications, deployment pipelines, composable build system. And it might have sounded like we got really lucky, like we already had all these things, but obviously we've been investing in them for quite a while. And we really think that the organizations that do best are the ones that are going to absorb these new technologies well, are going to be the ones that focus on those foundations. So this includes like the platform components I mentioned, but it also includes like a whole range of community groups that we have at Nordstrom that do a lot of direct contribution to our ecosystem. And the other thing is that we invest a lot in our documentation. So really, the documentation plays a big part in supporting the agents that we do deploy at Nordstrom. And I think if you really focus on a lot of these building blocks, whenever a new technology shows up, it makes it a lot easier to make that an extension instead of like a total reinvention of what you're doing. So a few concrete examples of where this paid off early on is our first MCP servers are pretty basic, but we're very popular, basically connecting to our project tracker, internal wikis. And we deployed all this using our existing container platform, which was really convenient. We could have started with something that was very AI specific, but I think it actually was more convenient for us to just use our existing platform, and it worked out really well. And independently, our MLOps team also did the same thing for some ML workflow templates that they deployed using MCP. So I think if you're thinking about what to invest in, you really want to think about bridging the gaps in your standard tooling, but also creating paths for your community, like your expert community today, to contribute directly to your platform. Oh, and now I'm going to hand things off to Sandeep to talk more in depth about how we think about the full spectrum, all those different ingredients we kind of, provide for people to build with today.
Hi, everyone. So when it comes to AI solutions, there's a spectrum. So I'll start from the far end. We have complex agent orchestration, so multi-step workflows, multiple tools, agents working with one another. And then in the middle, we have dedicated MCP servers, so shared infrastructure that's connected to internal systems. And then finally, skills and local experiments also includes local MCP servers. And most use cases land here. And that's not a compromise, that's by design. We also want teams to be experimenting out in the open and not in silos. And that's where the registry comes in. So every MCP server, skill, or agent gets captured here. So who owns it, what data it touches, and its compliance status, whether it's been reviewed and approved, or if it's not ready yet. But we don't want governance to get in the way of experimentation or creativity. So we run an inner source model. Anybody is welcome to contribute a pull request. And when something gets traction, that's our signal to standardize. If we find that someone is doing something creative, we know that we have a gap that we need to fix. Now, we think that this is a good problem to have because it means that we have a community of co-enablers helping us find those gaps. Here's what a registry entry looks like. We use the open source registry schema as our source of truth. As applications build support for this, the registry can become the central authority for what's available and what's allowed. We also pull in enterprise application metadata, so things like support team, compliance status, data classification, because this isn't just about managing risk, it's also about knowing who's on the hook for when things go wrong. Now, to get to production, there's a process that teams have to follow. Initially, when the server is in an experimental state, it's only configurable as a developer tool in your MCP client. Then as things take shape, it's available in a sandbox non-prod account, and then finally it gets deployed to prod. The governance in each of these environments is proportional to the risk and maturity. But none of this really matters if teams still have to figure out standards compliance and connections to internal tools by themselves. So we built an internal SDK, which is a lightweight wrapper around the MCP SDK, and any application using it gets things like OAuth and tool called observability for free. So the message here to teams is you focus on the business logic and the platform handles the rest. The SDK itself is built using the same building blocks that Ola talked about earlier. There's one more piece I wanted to cover. MCP is only as good as the data behind it. If your tools return bad information, the protocol doesn't help. The other question we asked ourselves is, if our agent disappeared tomorrow, would the knowledge survive? So we built a system that monitors our support conversations in Slack, and it waits for a thread to cool off and then determines what happened. So was something missing from the docs, or was someone correcting an answer from a bot? And then it finds the most appropriate documentation to update and then creates a pull request. So this way, knowledge that's trapped in your collaboration tool can now become part of documentation and then serve as better agent context for the next interaction. I'll now hand it back to Ola to talk about the human side of all of this.
All right, so yeah, everything Sandeep talked about it's really necessary, but it's really not the whole story because the other half is the whole human feedback loop. And I want to say that's really, I think, one of the hardest parts because when you're working on kind of platforms, platform enablement, sometimes you're moving really fast, but in a way that looks really slow depending on where you're standing. So it kind of depends on people who want to use certain features. It's like the teams building on the platform might see everything that they don't have, and at the same time, when you're on the platform team, you see a lot of the day-to-day progression and experiments that really add up over time. So one thing that helped us scale with communication is having regular office hours. So it's really turned into this human feedback loop. So all the things that we create, the standards, a lot of guides, a lot of sample applications, they're only good if people know about them, if they know how to use them. But it also helps expose where multiple teams are building very similar projects. So for example, we've had multiple teams experimenting with operational agents for incident response. And that kind of duplication, it's not always a bad thing. I actually think kind of duplication can be good data. But the office hours helps reduce the duplication that's happening in isolation. And this isn't some kind of top-down mandate that everyone has to follow. It's more like a way for people to come in, compare notes, and understand, for us, what we need to refine and standardize. So the other thing we want to be really honest about is that committing to the full lifecycle for a new type of service can be really hard. It's one reason why we haven't actually gone out and set up MCP servers for literally everything yet is because standing things up is getting easier every day, but maintaining it is what makes the exciting parts sustainable over time. So we really want to be patient. We want to be thoughtful about what we're actually deploying and making resilient, even while things are changing. And I want to say it always feels like you should always be enabling more and more things, but we also feel like that kind of patience and discipline makes things a lot more sustainable in the long term. And it's also why we try to make things more visible through things like the office hours, through different channels, forums, really helps kind of establish that culture. So everything we've talked about today, like doing registries, SDKs, standard pipelines, feedback loops, are kind of the same engineering fundamentals we had before, but just applied to a new capability. So MCP, it's new, it deserves the same engineering rigor as everything else we support and build. And we kind of think about agents are applications, if you want to oversimplify it. MCP servers are services. So if you're thinking about where to put your energy, based on our experience, we think it's really good to invest in those common paths between AI and your existing systems. And so even if you can't build the perfect platform solution yet, it's like experimenting in the open is another big part of what we encourage. So we talked about how we have kind of this more sandbox environment, kind of this graduation path. Lets us draw a clear line kind of around what's an experiment and what we actually need to enable, or in some instances, refine. And I think by focusing on those fundamentals, you can really direct your attention to the right place, because we only have so much human attention we can, spend on the things that we really want to enable, and so that helps us really kind of funnel it in the right places. And the other part is kind of that whole concept of feedback loops. We said that phrase a lot, but I think it's both that feedback loops in terms of our documentation, our data, but then also having people come in and help us kind of evolve and learn what we need to improve. And it also helps us stay kind of more honest, right? Because a lot of times, maybe something isn't working, and we also need to know that as soon as possible. So it all feeds back into that platform. Yeah, so we hope that some of what we shared today is useful. We'll be around to talk about platform, a lot of the things that we didn't get to today. So yeah, thank you.